this service is another time in God's presence, and it's Word Bank here at TBN. So on Sunday we had a very beautiful time in God's presence, but we're going to be putting perspective to it for this service. Pastor, you're welcome, sir. How was work? Bishop Bira. It's you I'm finding. It's you I'm talking to. All right. So I have with me Pastor Ter, and I also have with me he has refused for me to call him Bishop. His name is Kayode, and so we're going to be handling this service. So on Sunday we had a beautiful time, and we're looking at mind renewed, and as you know, this is our word for this new season, for this new year, is fresh wind, fresh fire. So for those of you who don't know, who are watching us online, October 1st starts our new year, and our word for the year is fresh wind, fresh fire. And so we're going to be doing midweek reflections, and then so mind renewed was the topic for Sunday. Are you controlling my slides, or am I? Next slide. Please let me see next slide. All right, so on Sunday we had three powerful people, and I know one of them is trying to avoid being spoken about or referred to, but we're still going to refer to her. So on Sunday we had Dr. Michaels, and Dr. Michaels is what will I call him now? A mental health guru. Dr. Michael's a mental health guru. He has Quantum Leap. Okay, so Dr. Mike is a mental health therapist, and he came up and said a lot of things on Sunday. Well, we're going to be looking at those things. We also had Pastor Yinka Adeyemi, who is a pharmacist by profession, career, but she's also a minister of the gospel. And we had our very own mama, Auntie AJ, in the house on Sunday. So Dr. Michael's medical director, I'll just go through his profile quickly to give us perspective. Dr. Michael's the medical director of Quantum Leap Consulting, the medical doctor, expertise in interventional talking therapy. And I know we saw that day. He was intentional about interventional talking therapy. His practice focuses on addressing life challenges to prevent mental health disorders, depression, anxiety, physical health issues, such as hypertension, and he runs Quantum Leap Consulting, which provides comprehensive mental health services to support individuals in achieving optimal well-being. And then we had Pastor Yinka Adeyemi, which I said earlier was a pharmacist. We had Pastor AJ, yes, I call her Pastor AJ. Seasoned leader with over 30 years of experience. She retired director from the Central Bank of Nigeria last year, and she's demonstrated exceptional team management, coaching. If I had time with her today, and it was awesome. Coaching, mentoring skills, inspiring personal and professional growth in her colleagues. Now she dedicates her expertise to coaching, mentoring, and wellness, leveraging certifications from the Institute of Integrated. In fact, if I go on and on, I'm reading Pastor AJ's profile. In fact, tired. Then we have pharmacist Yinka Adeyemi. She's a pastor, healthcare professional, degree from UI, but she's passionate. She's a passionate minister of the gospel. So we're going to be going straight into points or things that we had to address on Sunday. And one of the things that happened on Sunday was that people asked questions. And one of the major questions had to do with, somebody said, with the current situation of things, at what point do we give in and give up? You are laughing. It's a very critical question. With the current state of Nigeria, at what point should we say otoge, ototo? And we had different opinions about that. But before we begin to look at that, one of the things that was said, or two things that stood out, were that was from Pastor Yinka. Pastor Yinka said, we're a different breed, we're Christians. There's a place for the supernatural in the midst of pain, confusion, and trouble. And according to Pastor Yinka, there is no point where a Christian is permitted to give up. Absolutely. You agree?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, we're coming. We're going to dwell on that. And then Dr. Michael said that the only thing under your control is your mental health. So he said, mind your business and focus on what you can control. Let's look at that. You said absolutely.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, but let me hear from you.
Job.
Okay.
You know, I told you that when you look at Nigerians, we're almost like Job. We reflect what Job went through, going through every sense of pain, tumor, trauma, what have you, but then you still get up the next day and keep going. So if Nigerians who probably don't have that kind of deep relationship with God can do that, how much more those of us that have God? And that's why I say Nigerians are, to me, like Job. Of course, the only difference now is the Nigerians that will survive at the end of the day are the ones who know their God. The Bible says those that know their God will be strong
And do exploits.
to exploit. So we are not permitted to give up at any point. We might be pushed to the wall, just like Job was. But Job never for once tried to give up. He kept pushing on and believing that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above
all.
what was happening at that point. So
Are you talking to us as individuals, or you're talking to us as a nation?
So, as an individual first, because we are the light of the world, then of course, definitely, ultimately, we'll reflect that to the nations. Because let me. A song that we used to sing up as Christians. It says, "When the world wonders why, we'll just lift our hands and praise the Lord." When you really sit down and look at the wordings or the lyrics of that song, you know that it really means a lot. Why the whole world is saying that is a casting down, Christians will still be saying, in spite of it, we'll still be praising God. And we've been praising God. We've been praying for this nation for God knows how long. But we've not given up because we know that one day the miracle we've been expecting will happen.
Okay,
So
awesome. Bakari, where Dr. Michael said, mind your business, focus on what you can control. So in reality, what can you control?
Just the response. Your mental health. You can control the information you consume.
Yeah.
You can control how you react to it.
Yeah.
Because
Or respond.
respond. Because we still spoke about this last week, Wednesday, that whether you like it, it's not proving that it's not proving. It's not looking like it will get better. Even though the people at the top will make it look like we are working at the top of things. Things might not, in the context of this question and the context of this conversation, it's not looking like things will get better. But what you can do is to get better through the process. And by doing that is focusing on things that you can control. First of all, the information you consume and how you react to certain information. Because whether you like it or not, some information will hit you. You have to make up your mind as to how to react to that. And I like to also react to that giving up. I like to think about not giving up in terms of what gets you going, because whether you like it or not, things will happen. These things will happen. Bad things will happen. Complex things will happen. Like it will look as if that what's really happening, but what's that one thing that gets you going? And that's where I think she came to that as a Christian. As a Christian, what's your anchor that gets you going, such that even if it feels like you have reached the end of the road, you're still
It keeps you grounded.
Yes.
I like that part of mind your business. Face your day. Face your front.
It's scriptural.
It's mind your business. Stop looking for trouble,
Yeah.
up and down, so to speak. Whatever you can't control, just keep it in perspective. That's the only way. One of the major ways we're going to get through this. This next question that was raised had to do with anger. Yes, and had to do with anger, and we had a lot of people come up that day asking, "I'm getting angry. I'm responding with anger," or "I have someone who is being aggressive towards me. I'm living with an angry person. How do you deal with an angry person?" And one of the responses that we got that day was from Auntie AJ, and she says, "What's the underlying issue?" Next slide. She says, "Look for the underlying issue. You can either let it boil over, like once you know that this issue that this person is vexing or responding or reacting to has nothing to do with me." I said that's how she deals with it. Once she knows that it has nothing to do with her, she has checked it, and she has known that as much as she has looked, she didn't contribute to this thing that you're expressing here. So she either lets you just, boil over, and when you're done, we can have that rational conversation. Or if she feels it's necessary, then she can step in and do what help you see it objectively. And that was one thing that Dr. Michael also said: every form of anger is transferred aggression.
Yeah.
So imagine you're coming from home, like we had, I can't remember who it was on Sunday, that was like, he got home. I know that funny thing happened to me too. You get home, mommy, gas is finished. Then the next thing here is something else is bad, and then you need to do it. There's a tendency for you to transfer aggression. I want now. It was like pastors and professionals were the ones saying this big grammar. Okay, those of us day-to-day life. How do we deal with anger in this time? Does this apply to us? Can you be like Auntie AJ and really just step back and let the person boil over, or are you going to be tempted to step in and take over?
All right,
Okay.
let me give it a shot.
All right.
So my younger me, we react. And of course, it started becoming like a stigma. I react. You understand? I react at everything, and so I had to start looking at myself and asking myself, I need to start working about this reaction thing. So I've listened to a lot of talks, and some of the time, one of those things that really helped me to be able to calm when things are going crazy is advanced decision making, which means before it happens. I remember listening to the TD Jakes one time, and he was saying, before life asks you that question, answer it. Once you can do that, once it happens, you've already solved that problem. And so over time, I see myself, it's just like a deja vu feeling. You just like, oh, I've seen this kind of actions before. So the best reaction is to just walk away. There are situations where instead of just avoid reacting at that point. Of course, as humans, to be frank, you will still react in some instances. I think one of the ones I've been able to control mostly is Okada and Marwa drivers and Mikra. In fact, I will give them a lot of patience. Just do your thing. By the time you are done, the road will be free and I'll move. So I've learned to handle them. Be ready that they will break the rules at any point in time. So instead of you saying, you shouldn't have parked there, you should have anticipated that you parked. So I always give them that allowance. If I say an car, I will slow down. Do your thing. Don't come and bash me because I'm not ready for drama. to handle that. I think another one that happened that I think I reacted well. The guy was even shocked. We're playing ball in my team, and a younger guy just talked to me, and I told him you should never try it again. Is it because of football? You want to be rude to me?
Oscar, what's your temperament?
So I just told the guy you shouldn't try it. But I got home that day and I was feeling bad that I shouldn't have said that in the middle of the game. And I picked my call to apologize to the guy. The guy was shaking when I was apologizing. He was shaking his voice. You could hear, don't worry, big senior man, I understand. I was like, till tomorrow, the guy speaks about it. That I'm a model for them on the field. That, of course, they were surprised that I reacted on that day, but that what thing they saw was the fact that I later called him that night to apologize, and I said it was adrenaline running through me. You understand? So we need to look at it and be able to have a decision, make a decision before we get to that point.
I like the fact that you said adrenaline. Meaning you knew what was one of the triggers to you. Something that was said on Sunday by Dr. Michael said, what is making you angry? Like, what you know, what is making you angry? What did you touch? What did you hear? What did you feel? Like, those your 5 senses. Another thing was the temperament. That's what I'll ask you. What's your temperament?
I can't even place it. Right now I'm choleric, partly choleric.
You're already placing it. You're already placing it. Because I know my temperament and I'm beginning to understand my triggers. So when I see it coming, past year that we, except I want to engage. But Kaidi.
So one of the things that I think was said as the anger thing was self-awareness. Self-awareness. When certain things happen, what is your first response? Okay, even when you are not the one that how should I put it? Even if it's someone that is trying to transfer aggression on you, you just like greet the person. The person, what will be your initial response? So there's that need to be self-aware of what's going on. Okay, what's really happening here? Should I respond? Should I not respond? And another thing that was said also was to identify the underlying problem. Because someone's problem to understand where that, because yes, we have substantial anger sometimes, but there's another part of anger, like a stronghold, where you yourself know that
you're an
angry person. Why? Because some things are deeply rooted that needs to be uprooted, altars that needs to
let's not do that
if it's possible, altars that need to be destroyed and rebuilt.
Yes.
You get so some of those things are those things that have, so there's a need for that kind of person to go through a healing process. Person must be willing to heal. We have some parents that are still living in the bitterness and
of their childhood,
of their childhood, and so that's they project that bitterness on their children. They project that bitterness everywhere. You find a person who has been jilted severally, right? So the person is now in a new relationship. So guess what that person does? The person begins to bleed on someone, bleed over someone that did not even enjoy, that was not there when it all happened, right? I remember a story when Pastor Joshua told us. Of course, we all know the story. She said even as at the time when she got born again, there was still that anger inside of her. It took her husband to say, madam, alpha, let's go back. We need to uproot all of these things. So for me, try to understand the underlying factor for the anger, and based on what has been said, actually, not from my own head. Understand the underlying factor and also be self-aware.
There was a comment, there's a quote that I put up. Yes, that's one. It says, silence the noise within and you'll be able to silence the noise without. And I think that's a powerful thing that we need to remember constantly and consistently, that there is it's not what happens outside of you that actually the issue. Because if stuff is happening outside of you and you are unsettled inside, you're going to react in a certain way. When you shake a bottle of Pepsi or Coke or anything. It's what's inside that, So it's what's on your inside that's going to come out. Yeah.
I like to speak to that also,
Go ahead.
because I got that. So it was Pastor Kule showing that made an example of that, and I love that illustration so much, because just like you said now, if you carry a bottle of Coke, if you shake it, if you put pressure on a Coke, what's going to come out? Coke. If you crush a bottle of water, what's going to come out? Water. So that's how it is inside. What's on the inside, and that's why I'm really staying with the principle of the underlying factor. What's it that it has deposited into your spirit, man? The anger is just a byproduct of whatever is happening.
Yes.
So we have to be careful about that.
Awesome. So silence the noise within, and you'll be able to silence the noise without. Can we have the next slide? All right, now we're getting to a little more juice, and we're going to be watching a video soon. It says the only tool for programming is information. Pastor, you're in a very critical field that has to do a lot of training and a lot of. I want you to speak to this, and he actually used, for the first time, actually saw that these two scriptures were mental health scriptures, were mind mapping programming scriptures. We just quote them, we know them, but we've never seen them in the dimension of mental health and mental capacity. The only tool for programming is information. I want you to speak to that.
All right. Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart out of you must meditate. Meditation takes place in the mental space. You should be careful to do what it says. So we have a critical job of thinking deeply, because if we don't do that, we'll misbehave. There are a lot of, in fact, that Sunday, I remember him saying he has been to various places within the auditorium, and he has seen like 3,000. He was calling figures. I was like, in how many seconds? He's been here, he's seen a lot of information. He has had conversations with people, and so that is the same way information jumps at us. Of course, I remember him talking about them coming at us through our five senses.
Yes.
And that is just the way, what you see, what you hear, what you say, in fact, there are some informations you get that just comes through osmosis into your body. In fact, just passing through, you just have those information, and that's just important. And when you look at Romans 2, which was talking about be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, it's equally, we have a part to play, so we can't leave it for any entry. So we have to intentionally be careful with what we take in or what we so it's very important. This is very important for me, and I like the fact that you said the mind is programmable.
Yes.
So those informations that gets to us are programming us. I remember quoting Philippians also, where it says, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is noble, whatsoever is right.
That's Pastor EJ's favorite verse right now.
Think on those things, because if you don't, then it means
whatever is bad, whatever is death, whatever is evil,
it's just coming in, and you will react, because those are the things that will dictate how you behave.
Okay. Okay.
Well, as they say, nature abhors vacuum.
Yeah.
So you can't leave your mind to be everywhere. And like we established at the beginning, that information, the things we receive in our spirit, whether you like it or not, they play a huge role.
Sure.
They play a huge role. So if you feel like you are just like, thank you very much, just like the example Pastor Adeyemi shared about dreams. That when she begins to have certain types of dreams,
of why a cockroach be chasing a goat,
then it means that there's a level of information that has been stored in somewhere in our subconscious that is playing out. Goes to show how we must. So for me, the word will now be intentionality.
Yes.
Being intentional about the things that goes through your mouth. Because even the food that we eat sometimes, can even cause toxins. Food is good, but you as a person, there are certain types of food you eat at a certain level where it becomes toxic to your body, and then it affects your physiology such that it begins to make you somehow. So being intentional about the things we take into our mind, to our mouth, that will feed into our five senses, very important. Intentionality.
Yeah, intentionality, because for the Bible, for Joshua to say in Joshua 1:8, this book of the law must not depart. Meditate on it day and night. Then you will have good success. When the baby is born, he comes with a blank slate. But from the moment that baby goes into the mother's arms, when the baby comes out of the body, programming starts.
Sure.
But I don't think we realize how deep that is. That you can alter a person's future and destiny just by programming of the mind. If you want a person to go in a certain direction, that's why when I see parents who are not intentional about the spiritual upbringing of their children, that's what the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. There's a mapping in the way he should. Should mean there is a certain way. There's a mapping, there's a direction, there's a blueprint. When he is old, he won't depart from it. But if you do not program him to go in that direction, there's no how, there's no magic, except a miracle happens which superimposes and intervenes to bring him back on that path.
Sure.
And we're talking about, and the Romans 12:2 was emphatic about conformity, and we're coming there. There's a video we're going to watch, and unfortunately we can't watch the whole 60 minutes video. We can't. We're just going to watch a little bit about it, a little bit from it, about conformity versus transformation.
Okay.
Yes, conformity, and that's the whole of Romans 12:2. In fact, I was so grateful when I saw it in that light. The essence of Romans 12:2, and I love the analogy that we're coming there. Before we get Romans 12, we're going to be drawing on the Joshua 1:8 through the lenses of Dr. Michaels.
But just before you go,
Okay.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
Just one thing, just to make this as practical as possible. And I want to make it bigger.
Okay.
When you look at the systems of the world right now, everything has been designed. Everything is intentionally designed to make your mind think one kind. So last year,
What's the one kind?
I'm coming out. So last year, in the last 3 months of last year, I took time to observe a particular music channel, and looking at the music videos that actually came out in that period, or even from last year to or the middle of last year, there was 3 elements. I noticed 3 elements: sex, violence, and drugs. So there's no way. And even if you look at it currently, the crop of musicians we have now on their social media, it will be hard for you not to see drugs in their hands.
Nudity, that's sex.
So it that means that there, and all of those things are not, they are not, it didn't
They're
happen by
intentional.
default. Thank you very much.
Yeah. They're intentional.
So that means that intentionality has to meet with intentionality.
Yes, so
If you have it, which we have it, and we have, so being guarded.
it's funny
very
you say
critical.
that, because you can be intentional in your home and say, we're not listening to secular music, we're not watching this, we're not watching that. And then, for instance, I'll give you a practical example. To the barbershop, salon barbershop, and my son had his haircut, and then the TV was on in the salon, and I saw my little boy begin to watch that TV, as in, okay, what TV, and also he's watching and he's seeing all those kind of, and I just raise up and I'm like, Koide, Then he moves his head, then he looks at it again, then he moves his head. Later I just go, here, take my phone, watch something else. Now, that's me being intentional. But just imagine somebody else who doesn't see it as anything. When life begins to hit the individual, what is going, like we said, the bottle, when you shake it, bottle of Coke, what's going to come out? That's how intentional the enemy is. That's how intentional the devil is. That's how intentional the world system is. And hopefully, those who are listening will actually decide to be intentional about what they allow into their space, the kind of books they read, the kind of movies they watch, the kind of it's not cliche, it's not being difficult, it's just being real.
Sure.
Because whatever you put on your inside is what you're going to eventually give out. And I want to take it a little further into the angle of money. Yes, money is cocoa. You know, we did economic resilience last week, 2 weeks ago. The last week, 2 weeks ago was economic resilience. We can't low, uncle. 2 weeks ago was economic resilience. The last week was mind renewed, and I see the progression. I see the progression, and so I want us to use this mind programming through the lens of the Word of God and see what Dr. Michaels was saying on Sunday about the abundance mindset. Yes, the abundance mindset. So can we watch Dr. Michaels' video, please?
Play.
Okay, a lady wrote to me. I'll just read what a client wrote to me this morning. I'll just read her question and then I'll read the answer and I'll just drop the mic. She said, still on financial matters. Okay, yeah. I noticed that if, for example, I have 50K left in my account, I get concerned, especially if salary is still far away. Then I get a windfall. Suddenly, I become uncomfortable seeing a better amount. Then I start finding ways to let the money go till I get back to the initial amount. Then I'm cool. Then I'm sad and concerned again. Then I start praying I get money soon. Why aren't I comfortable with abundance? 2, what mentality is this? 3, maybe I should still meditate on abundance. She's always trying to think she knows what I'm going to say. Okay, so let me read my response. Mindset is the reason why you are not comfortable with abundance. It happens to so many people, a lot of people. You need to start training your mind to feel better with only seeing the invisible money in your account. This is called abundance mentality or mindset. Then I went further to say, you also need to have a fixed amount of money in your mind. As you do all these things, ideas of what to do, or who to talk with, or work with, or decisions to take to attract what that amount of money towards you will start coming after you and running towards you. Therefore, remain very sensitive. The idea can come from someone you didn't know, or you don't know, or like, or listen to regularly. It could come from a social media post, or an unexpected or expected sources. Just be open-minded. The money already exists, but you only need to attract it. All these things work in any economy.
All right. Thank you. The floor is open.
I have nothing to say.
You will have something.
I have nothing to say than to just let it.
Those are my 2 objectives.
So you know there are some words that you can't. You just have to just hear for yourself.
Just subscribe to it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Just subscribe to it. Let it work for you. And honestly, I don't have anything to say. But I think that's a very, very important thing.
Yeah.
Abundant mindset. And there was a time I was learning about mindset too, and I also learned about this thing with fixed and growth mindset.
Yes.
Fixed mindset, someone that just feels
whatever you tell him, he's not going to listen. He's just going to be
growth
there.
mindset says
Wants
that
to grow, wants to get better.
And interestingly, last year I've been trying to learn about this thing about abundant mindset. So how does it work? Does it mean that I will start, it doesn't mean that I'll just start imagining things, but this answers it, having a fixed, just have it fixed somewhere. So for example, I can now tell myself that, okay, the list or this is for me now, this is how it comes to me now. I begin to make assessment of, when it comes to finances, make assessment of where I am, assess bad habits that need to go, good habits that need to be worked on. Then I now begin to look, okay, when it comes to abundance, what does abundance mean to me? Yes, what does abundance mean to me? Because when it comes to finance,
play politics, yeah.
no.
I'm listening to you.
It's practical.
Okay.
The way I think about financial abundance will be different from the way you say it. The way Dangote thinks about financial abundance is different from the way I will think about financial abundance. Why? It's just as a result of years of experience dealing with certain circumstances and growing through that process. So right now for me, that's what I want to do. Make assessments.
Okay.
Bad habits that need to go, they go.
Okay.
The good habits that need to be imbibed.
Okay.
Then I begin to have a fixed amount in my head now. That to say, okay, henceforth, this will be the least.
That I'll ever have in my life.
Yes. And when it comes to financial abundance, what does it mean to me? For some, I can almost say that for some, it's not as if they want to be the biggest billionaire. They just want to be as comfortable as possible. To just be able to afford everything. And for me right now, it's bigger than just being comfortable. So that's why I said that everyone has to have the definition of that in their mind.
Okay, Pastor, yeah, the one in the banking sector.
The money man.
Money.
But it's not my money. I told you that one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
from day one,
that's clear.
I
Not
told
your
myself,
money.
this is not my money. All right, so people that don't have abundance mindset or mentality, where did they get it from? So we need to find out why they think having something in abundance is to them probably a sin or is out of place. So because when you look at the Bible remains the valid book we can use to actually straighten things out. There's a place where the psalmist said God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. If you've seen movies about cattle on hills, so just think about 1,000 hills. So which means God actually is a God that loves abundance. Somewhere in the Bible it says he's able to do exceedingly abundantly. So which means God is willing to give us everything and everything. So if we have that kind of mindset that God really wants us to have everything in abundance and equally be able to use it to be a blessing to others, because that's the point of having it in the first place. When you look at the life of Abraham, God blessed him and said because he knows that he's going to be a blessing to the world. And when he was even giving him children, he said he was giving him children because he knew he was going to train that son to be a model for the world. So God knew that he has an abundance mindset, that he's going to teach his children to do the right thing. And that's why for a long time we still talk about the God of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, which are people who probably don't have a personal relationship or that encounter with God. And so it's very important for us to know that we need to find out where did they get it from in the first place. And then we need to tell them, here in God's kingdom, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly. So we need to open our mind wide. And of course, the purpose of having that abundance is not for ourselves. So we need to equally come to that point of view and said, beyond being comfortable, you are meant to be a blessing to the world that God has given us. So I once read somewhere, and I am not sure where I've shared it before, that when God drops ideas, he drops ideas on Steve Jobs, drops ideas on Microsoft guy Bill Gates drops idea. He said that same period there were Christians. Of course, I think we watched one
the
video.
Kenneth Copeland's video.
Yeah, he was saying he was waiting. He was
I was
waiting
for my own.
And when they were not ready,
I
he
had
dropped
to
it.
let- I had to let it
He
go.
dropped it on everybody, but the people who made use of it till
Their
tomorrow.
minds were not open.
So maybe Christians at that time were more heaven focused, and they were saying, oh, but they were praying, but it's not new now. In the Bible, they were praying for Peter or Paul to be released, and
then
he still knocked on the door, and they were like,
and they
it's
ran
not true.
away.
So we still have those kind of people till date.
Okay, you want to say
You know,
something?
using this example Dr. Michael's gave,
Yes,
I think I'm also a victim.
we all are.
Sure.
There are times
But most
when
of us.
there are times when you receive certain types of amount of money, you just begin to get scared. I think there was a time I was to carry one money to go and pay into the bank for someone, and I was afraid that Johnny Joe will not- and you know, I know there's this thing like when you have to get this money, like wow,
Just you want the extra lower, but don't worry.
you have to just gather money like Johnny Joe will you, and you know begin to think that week there's a problem here, because on the days when you are like you're free, you don't have that fear that someone is going to steal your money, but all of a sudden you have this huge amount of money in your hands. All of a sudden you have this fear that it will be stolen from you. Then it means that there's a big problem.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know, when I listened to him on Sunday, I said, I want that portion. Like, I didn't hear him well.
So yeah, to go
Then I went back and I heard it again. And I'm like, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, it's a truth. Because, you see, they said, number one, the reason why you're not comfortable, regardless of the economy right now, the reason why you as an individual, you're not comfortable with abundance starts from here.
Yeah.
And it could be as a result of how you were brought up.
Sure.
It could be as a result as you hear your parents always saying, I don't have, there's no money, there's no this, there's no that, everything is tight, everything is. So that child just grows up like that and just feels, I can't spend, I can't this, I can't that. It becomes a mindset. We said the mind is programmable. It becomes a conditioning. That child becomes into an adult who thinks like that. Then we have also allowed society to tell us, and we have believed that our worth is in the amount of money we have in our pocket or in our account. But God is saying, no. According to my riches in glory by Christ Jesus. That is what your bank account, that is what your mindset should be. Whether you have money today or you don't have money at the moment, your identity, your self-worth, your mindset is not about you. You know, the whole Christian thing is not about us. When we say the finished work of Christ, I like to think about my money like that as well. So I may not have the money in my account, but that bill has got to be paid.
Sure.
How it's going to come?
You don't know.
You are the owner of the cattle in 1,000 hills.
Yes.
And he said another thing. He said when you begin to have that kind of mindset, that open-mindedness, he said all of a sudden the ideas begin to come. Who do I talk to? Do I send Pastor Taye a message that I'm doing this? Do I call this person? Ideas begin to open because you have, like he said, there are 3 frequencies, and the word of God is the highest of those frequencies. So really, what mindset are we allowing ourselves? Fixed growth or the God abundance mindset? And so I kept listening to it. I said, devil, you're a liar. We're going to fix this mindset.
Yeah.
Because it might, like I used to tell my kids, there was a time when a tougher patch when we're in Abuja, and I was telling Ifemi, I said, see, you may be in that school, but that's not who you are. Don't allow the circumstance around you to determine your identity. Don't. So I think that also comes to the abundance mindset. I don't have one naira in my account as I'm sitting here right now. Doesn't mean I'm a poor person. Just means that the money has not yet entered the account. All right, so we're going to move on for that because I want us to touch something else, something that and that's going to be like the climax of today's service. Pastor Yinka was talking about growth. Media, can you help me out? Pastor Yinka was talking about growth. My next slide. And then she said, we're all a work in progress. Growth is seen, but the goal is to walk with the Holy Spirit, and gradually your life will change and it will become evident. You have a little baby and you don't realize how grown that child has become. Or somebody says, you know, a big one, like, Danny, who is the big? They don't say, you've got. So it doesn't, sometimes you don't see the growth, but as long as you're walking with the Holy Spirit, it will show.
Sure.
It will manifest. And she came on with this beautiful and we can't watch the whole 16 minutes, but I just want everybody to see about 3 minutes on it, and then we'll take it from there. Please go ahead.
Those are my 2 objectives. So let's look at the butterfly. The next slide tells us about what the process. So that is the caterpillar, and then it moves on to be the butterfly. If you look at it very well, the caterpillar does not look like the butterfly at all. It's not that people have, studied, things. People they've studied nature, then they were able to see that, it's actually the caterpillar that turns into the butterfly. But when you look at the butterfly individually, you will never think that this came from a worm. This picture, I tried to look for a very ugly picture. I couldn't find. But this looks beautiful. How many people have seen caterpillars before? They're very ugly things. Very irritating. Even speaking about it, I'm having goose pimples. They're not things I want to see. But the Bible says be transformed. It says be configured. Let metamorphosis take place. In other words, if metamorphosis does not take place, you will be a caterpillar. Very ugly, very slow. I mean, there are so many things about the caterpillar that you should not be. Because God has put the potential of a butterfly in every one of us. So the caterpillar is like the picture of the conformed Christian. The one who is conformed to this world is the caterpillar. And the one whose mind is renewed and being renewed, because it's not something that you can achieve at once, is the person who is like the butterfly. So I want to mention a few characteristics of the conformed believer, which will be characteristics of the butterfly. Number 1, he has a limited perspective.
The short video.
Now the caterpillar is on the ground. Is
that a short video? Okay. Can you take me to my slide?
In the sand.
All right. Because next slide. If we follow that video, we won't be able to finish it, and we just want to watch it all. And it's 16 minutes. I cannot watch it all. But she brought a beautiful analogy to this. I've never seen Romans 12:2 as caterpillar and butterfly. We don't say, don't be conformed, be transformed. But she said the caterpillar Christian is the conformed Christian, and then the transformed Christian is the butterfly. So, characteristics of the caterpillar Christian: limited perspective, very myopic, very driven by basic instincts. What shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? Kilo shele, no anything. Then slow and little progress, potentials that are not yet realized. Please, let's talk about it. Let's look at it. I want us to spend like the next 10 minutes on this, if we can, or maybe a little less. What does this do for you? Because I had to bring it out like this. That 16-minute video says this. But the goal is to come from the conformed Christian to the transformed Christian. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed. So, Pastor Bakayede, please speak to this.
All right. So, it's still the Bible will go to get us out of it. But I know that we're a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think she
Yeah,
mentioned
she said
that.
yes.
And so, of course, looking at the explanation, caterpillar metamorphosing into a butterfly, and using the caterpillar stage to show confirmed Christians. Of course, I want to believe those are Christians who probably, just like the characteristics, who probably got stuck at one point of their life, bogged down by the events around them. Like right now in Nigeria, I can guarantee you we are having a bigger population of confirmed Christian, because seemingly nothing is working. Some of them are even questioning, does God answer prayer?
Yes, sir.
But you know, they're almost at that point
Yes.
where they are saying, but and that's because they have limited perspective. They believe God should answer every prayer that is raised, and God is not man. So we're a work in progress. It takes us from one level to the another.
Caterpillar to the
There is a
lava.
place in the Bible where it says, we are like unveiled faces. We are being
Yes,
transformed.
as we behold him.
You understand?
Yeah.
As we behold him, as we stand in front of him, we are being changed. He's reshaping us and bringing us into proper perspective. But they don't. For people who get stuck as a caterpillar,
Yes.
they don't move away from that point to the next point. And if you don't move to the next point, because when you really look at the picture of the caterpillar to the lava to the
different
pupa,
stages,
there were different stages
Stages.
at those points.
Yes.
And so for you to move to the next stage, it means you are ready to be transformed
Yes.
or metamorphosed.
Yes.
But if you don't move,
You're going to stay stuck.
you are still going to be
Awesome.
stay stuck.
Awesome.
The Bible verse that also I think there's a part of the Bible that where it was talking about precept upon precept.
Line
So
upon line.
yeah, line upon line. So that's how it is. And I think the problem is usually mindset also. I want to go to the root, right?
The mind is the battlefield.
Thank you. It's the
something like that.
battlefield.
Yeah, it's the battlefield.
It's the battlefield because, think about it. We can all attend the same church together, hear the same things, but our lives turn out differently.
Differently, definitely.
But however, even that turning out is not it's not the final. It's a continuous
Yeah.
it's a continuous activity.
Yeah.
That's why I love the butterfly. It has a renewed perspective. So today is Wednesday. I thought about something in a certain way, but no, I should really dig deeper, so that when I wake up tomorrow morning, something has been added, precept upon precept, line upon line, right? Free and purposeful movement. Is it about just sit down, okay, God, Holy Spirit, what is it to do?
Yeah.
So that it won't be that we are just running around. We're just running around. Beauty and grace, that comes from God. Being able to just stay put. Let God beautify your life. Let God lift you up. Undergoing change, undergoes. So it's a present continuous. You can't just say saved once, saved forever. There's precept upon precept, line upon line. That's what will enlarge your mind. And you and I say something always. For example, let the prayers you pray, let it fall. And that's what we've been taught always.
Sure.
The prayers you pray, let it first change you. Let the prayers you change, let it transform you. And so I think that's it for me.
Okay, I like what I'm hearing so far because it's something worth dwelling on.
Sure.
It's something worth spending time on. The caterpillar stays on the ground. The caterpillar has no other vision except the one
turning.
that is down here. To no fault of his, that's where it's at. But after a while, that caterpillar goes into a cocoon. But like he was trying to explain, sometimes many of us come to Christ. We get saved and we stay there. We don't decide to now be disciples.
We are still, we like the milk.
Yes.
We don't want to go for
yes,
the
we just like
meat.
the caterpillar. Just crawl, keep crawling.
Just taking the
We
milk.
like the milk, waiting for the benefits of the person eating the
Yes. So you keep crawling, you just, what are we going to eat? What are we going to wear? We are going to this, God give me this, God give me that. That's a caterpillar. That's a carnal Christian. So you really don't make any progress. You're going around in circles. The devil just has you stuck and bound in one place. And whatever potential God put on your inside is never going to be materialized. But then there's a Christian who has chosen to be transformed, who has chosen to stay in that cocoon with God and be led and be disciples and be taught and be yielded totally to God. His perspective now ceases to be that of a caterpillar. His perspective now begins to see things through the eyes of God. And he begins to soar. That's the essence of a transformed Christian. So that arrow that we are looking at is the process that we must be willing to go through if we want to be transformed. You must be willing to go through it. If not, you're going to just remain a caterpillar for the rest of your life, and it will be of no fault of God's, none whatsoever. Praise God. So that's what I want to leave with you today. If there's anything that you heard from us today, those two things: get the abundance mindset in place, get it fixed, and then begin to start the journey from conformity to transformation. You are more than where you are. You're more than what you're allowing yourself to. There's so much more potential. Next slide. There's so much more potential that you have to offer. Next slide. I know why I said next slide. That you have to offer. So I want to say thank you so much. Please join us on Sunday for our next service, and it's going to be Home Ignited. We hype this in on Sunday. We hype it again.
And also on Saturday,
leadership meeting.
The team.
Oh, sorry, I knew I was missing something. Leadership meeting. Sorry.
There's leadership.
Our poolside chat
for the teenagers.
Please, we're having Ibrahim Sulaiman and we're having Linda Ejefo. Please join us. Don't forget sending your offerings.
The teenagers should join us.
Teenagers.
The teenagers. Thank you.
No, adults to join. Come and learn. That's fixed mindset. Come and learn.
Wait, now, but the program was that was teenagers.
Come and learn. So please send in your offerings. We'd love to hear from you. That's the account on the screen. Please send in your offerings. You never come to the presence of God empty-handed, and we know that we'll see you on Saturday. Yeah. Please, adults, come. Just come. We'll accept you. It's by the pool. You here. In case your marriage has not been going well, here. Growth mindset. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Till we see you next week. Stay blessed. God bless you.
God
Bye.
Bless. Bye.